This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening. Welcome to Here and Now. I'm Anthony Germain.
And I'm Carolyn Stokes. Let's get right to it. A story that affects Canadians from coast to coast to coast. Health Canada will approve the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine for children as young as 5 years old tomorrow. CBC News has learned the pediatric vaccines could arrive within days. We go now to the CBC's David Cochrane in Ottawa.
In the U.S., kids between the ages of 5 and 11 have been lining up and rolling up their sleeves for weeks. More than 2.5 million have had their first shot of Pfizer so far, something that will soon happen in Canada.
Just knowing that it's here now is really exciting.
Well, what if we have sun on one side?
Misty Pratt spoke to CBC News last summer about the impact the pandemic was having on her family. Since then, her 12-year-old daughter, Aylin, is fully vaccinated. Her 9-year-old, Emily, will be as soon as she can.
It's just been that anxious sort of waiting of, is something going to happen? Is a case going to come up? And now knowing that we can protect her makes us feel a lot better.
Children under 12 continues to have the highest incidence rates across all age groups.
Friday's formal approval will come 1 week after this warning from Dr. Theresa Tam. With more than 85% of Canadians over 12 fully vaccinated, younger children are the last unprotected group.
And I can promise you, we are ready. As soon as we receive the 5 to 11-year-old supply from the federal government, our public health units and local partners are ready to receive and administer the Pfizer vaccine.
Federal officials are working with Pfizer to lock down a firm delivery schedule. The Prime Minister has said that 2.9 million doses will be shipped to Canada shortly after approval, and sources say that will likely happen next week. Then it's up to provinces to get those doses in arms. David Cochrane, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, the provincial government will cover the cost of any medical travel that was disrupted by the IT outage from the cyber attack. It plans to reimburse patients who had to travel for a specialist medical appointment that was later canceled. Now, this applies to anyone who began their travel before November 2nd and applies to flights, taxis, car rentals, ferries, and buses. Also included the cost of hotels, private accommodations, and meals. The province says no portion of a Labrador resident's $1,000 allowance will be used. Claims should go through the Medical Transportation Assistance Program and can be sent online or through the mail. And we also have a possible COVID-19 exposure to tell you about. It's for anyone who visited Piatto Pizzeria on Elizabeth Avenue on Tuesday between 1 and 3 p.m. So if that applies to you, Eastern Health is advising you to get tested.
Well, something that hasn't happened in a long time is about to happen in the early morning hours. The lunar eclipse is expected somewhere between 3:48 is when we should start to see the eclipse. By 5:30 we should be at the maximum, and then that partial eclipse will end as we get into about 7 in the morning. Now, are we going to be able to see it is the question. And it does look like at this point between 3:30 and 5:30 in the morning, the best chance of seeing that will be for eastern areas, and it'll likely be only in the beginning, because by the time we get to 5:30 in the morning we should be under cloud cover. And the reason for that is our next weather maker moving in, and it is already starting, or we're already starting to see that cloud cover move in for the west. So that is going to continue to track further east as we head through the evening hours tonight and then into the morning, already prompting some warnings, a wind warning for Canagra Peninsula all the way through to the southern Avalon, and then a wreck house wind warning, expecting wind gusts about 100 kilometers per hour, but I will get into those details and have the rain amounts when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, the head of the National Inuit Youth Council has returned from COP26. Brian Pottle had the opportunity to speak during the International Climate Change Conference in Glasgow, but only with other Indigenous leaders. Pottle says he sees a disconnect between science and politics and watered-down promises from decision makers.
There's a kind of well-known phenomenon in politics where sometimes science and the political realm are disconnected. And that is something that I did see, at least on a smaller scale, say at COP26. where, for example, when I was speaking, when my colleagues, my Inuit colleagues were speaking, none of us were speaking to world leaders.
We'll hear more from Paulo a little later, including what he thinks of the Premier's push to keep producing oil.
The federal fisheries minister says she'll respect the province's jurisdiction over aquaculture development. The new minister is in the province for a series of meetings. Joyce Murray is a former environment minister in British Columbia, and she has publicly stated that she is against open net pen salmon aquaculture, and she wants to put an end to it out west. But Murray tells CBC she recognizes that provinces play a role in managing their own aquaculture industries.
I am here to listen and learn and hear what the situation is in Atlantic Canada. I'm not ever going to assume that a reality on the ground on the Pacific coast is the same as the reality on the Atlantic coast.
Now, some other news. A repeat sex offender has been sentenced to 1 year and 2 months for his most recent violations. Today, a judge said Matthew Twine continues to thumb his nose at the courts. Twine has breached probation and release orders 24 times in the last 8 years, and he has more than 100 convictions. He was previously arrested for exposing himself to women on a Long Pond walking trail 3 days after a previous indecent exposure conviction. Twine will remain behind bars until July. He's banned from any public spaces where children may be present, including near playgrounds, parks, as well as schools. Well, the RCMP in Harbour Grace are investigating possible arson at a barn in Victoria. Police say between October 29th and November 6th, a vacant barn at the Newfoundland Pony Society was burned to the ground. The RCMP suspected arson. When police arrived at the scene, they found a lock had been tampered with and say the building is a total loss. The RCMP is asking anyone with any information about this fire to reach out to the police or to Crime Stoppers.
Well, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police have a new commanding officer in Newfoundland and Labrador. Jennifer Ebert will be the Mounties' top cop following the departure of Chess Parsons, who had been in the job since 2018. Ebert is originally from Ontario and has done stints in the Territories, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and she was the commanding officer on Prince Edward Island before taking the job here.
Well, the aging Muse Centre in St. John's will soon be a thing of the past. Construction is underway for a new facility to replace the old community centre. When ground was broken this fall, the city was in the middle of a municipal election and never had a proper sod-turning ceremony. So today, St. John's gave us a glimpse into what the new $33 million facility will feature.
A few interesting facts about this new facility. It will be 5,565 square meters or 60,000 square feet. So again, a little bit bigger, fair bit bigger actually than the current Muse Centre. We'll have a dedicated office, programming and storage space for the Boys and Girls Club. They're currently in our Muse Centre, and that was something that was very important for us. We're going to have a full-size gymnasium with an indoor walking track, 25-meter, 6-lane, deep lap pool, and a shallow end with an accessible ramp for fitness aquatics. A leisure pool with beachfront entry, including a bubble bench and various water features. This will get it right up on par with the current Paul Reynolds Centre. And of course, and I say that in bold letters, a large steam room on the main pool deck. A lot of the seniors that currently go to the Muse Centre basically told me, if you don't have a steam centre or steam room in there, don't even bother showing up or showing your face around here. That's something they wanted.
You may recall, of course, that in July 2019, we announced that the Canadian Tire Charities Universally Accessible Playground would be built adjacent to the new community centre. The Universally Accessible Playground and accessible new building will add tremendous value to this neighbourhood. There's an outdoor community garden, improved connectivity to the site with the addition of sidewalks, trails, and pathways, and landscaping and green space to enjoy a picnic or a game of catch or throw frisbee. There's a lot to be excited about, and I'm so pleased to see the accessibility enhancement happening here in this project.
Well, the Salvation Army kicked off its annual Christmas Kettle campaign this morning at the Avalon Mall. Now, the Kettle campaign is one of the largest charitable events in Canada. In this province alone, there are kettles in more than 30 communities. The 2021 goal for the Newfoundland and Labrador division is to raise $800,000 between now and Christmas Eve. Last year, the group helped more than 7,000 families during the holidays and expects that number will be even higher this year.
Based on the trends we are seeing in our community and family services right now, we are fully expecting to see an increased need for help this Christmas, and also for our programs and services in the coming months.
Auto shops are blocked. It's that time of year to change the tires. Studded, non-studded. We are finally going to settle that debate. Or will we?
They are advantageous when used on ice and snow packs.
The perception people have is that studded tires mean safer, particularly in winter.
Well, we're definitely not going to have to talk about winter tires over the next couple of days. See these temperatures into the double digits? They're headed our way. I'll get into those details when I come back.
it's Thursday. Time for a look at the weather forecast. And it was a nice day today in St. John. Some sunshine, but cold.
It was pretty chilly out there, yeah, but it was lovely to see the sunshine earlier this afternoon. But that is all going to change as we head through the night tonight. Unfortunately, already seeing some snow up through portions of Labrador. The reason for that? An area of low pressure that's going to move in. Let's take a look at that. That ridge of high pressure is going to skirt south of us, and then as this low moves in, it is going to bring some unsettled conditions as we head through the night tonight. Already starting to see some of those showers and some snow move in through portions of Labrador. As you can see, all of that cloud cover move in, and that's generally going to be what we're going to see tonight. Now, temperatures today didn't reach very high, about 1 to 5 degrees across the island, and those temperatures up across the Big Land sitting somewhere between -2 in Cartwright, -1 in Mary's Harbour, and then we've got those temperatures in and around -8 for Churchill Falls. And I showed you a little bit earlier that those temperatures are going to climb. So this should be some of the coolest temperatures that we see over the next 24 hours. Temperatures right now about 4 degrees in Port aux Basques, and we are going to see those temperatures continue to climb as that warm front moves in overnight tonight. We see those winds shift to southerlies and bring in some of that rain with it. So already starting to see some showers just skirting the southwest as we speak, and they're more than likely going to they will head further north as we head through the night tonight. But the other story is as that system moves in, it is prompting wind warnings. So Wreck House area likely going to see some gusts near about 100 kilometers per hour tonight in those southerly wind gusts. And then for the southern Avalon, Burin and Canagra peninsulas, you're going to see your winds pick up tomorrow afternoon as that system gets a little bit closer. In exposed areas, we could see those gusts upwards of about 100 kilometers per hour. And then it'll be after midnight for the southern Avalon to see those winds tomorrow night. So here's what is going to happen over the next, at least through the night tonight. That snow will continue across the Big Land and head towards the coast as we get after midnight tonight. And then some showers will move in. Slight chance that we could see in those higher elevations this briefly start as snow, but it'll quickly change over. And again, that's because those temperatures are going to warm up quite quickly tonight with some rain for southern areas of the island. And then eventually by morning, we will see that for the east. And then for southeastern Avalon or southeastern Labrador, that will likely change over to rain, and that's because of the track of the system. So temperatures tonight will be cool still across the Big Land. You're looking at temperatures around -3 to -5 overnight, and then again those winds will ramp up. So overnight lows will be sitting somewhere between -1 and -5, but by morning those winds will pick up out of the south, anywhere from 50 to 70 kilometers per hour. As far as that snowfall goes across Labrador, you're looking at, not including what already fell today, but about another couple of centimeters, certainly 2 to 5 centimeters for the west. And then through central Labrador, in those higher elevations, we could see a little bit more, but right now looking at about 5 to 10 centimeters of snow. Some areas could see in excess of 10 to 15. And depending on the exact track of the system, if we don't see that changeover, we could see a little bit more snow through central Labrador as well. So certainly keep that in mind. Now for tomorrow, like I said, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, things should start to change over to rain as those temperatures climb up and then stay as rain for most of southeastern Labrador as we head through the afternoon. Then that big push of warm air, big push of moisture will move in, and we're going to see some periods of rain along the southern areas of the island and then continue through the day, certainly into the evening hours, and then that will track east as we head into the overnight into Saturday morning, with the winds shifting in behind that, and then the potential for a few flurries for western Newfoundland as well. Now, as far as rainfall amounts go, there's a good chance that a good chunk of the southern Avalon will see somewhere between, or the good chunk of the southern areas of the island will see between 20 to 30 millimeters of rain. And then otherwise we'll see somewhere between 30 to 50 for the south. So temperatures tomorrow will be quite nice, looking at about 10 to 12 degrees, but again with those winds quite breezy, pretty much through central, and then same thing for the west coast. As we head towards the northern peninsula, you even get into the double digits. Same thing for Mary's Harbour. And then staying on that cold side though as you head towards the west coast between -2 and 4 degrees for Happy Valley Goose Bay. So that's a look at tomorrow's forecast. We'll look to the weekend. Some of it is going to stay warm. I'll get into those details when I come back.
World leaders working together on climate change, trying to plan for the future. That's one goal of the annual UN Climate Change Conference. Earlier this month, delegates descended on Scotland for COP26, including Brian Pottle, president of Canada's National Inuit Youth Council. Now he's back in this province and sharing his perspective.
The reason I wanted to go to COP26 was to share Inuit youth perspectives from Canada on an international stage, because Inuit are very heavily impacted by climate change, by the changing ice formation patterns, the thawing of the permafrost, more sporadic weather events, that it's very, very important to me as president of the National Inuit Youth Council that the voice of Inuit youth for Canada is heard. One of the big things that I want world leaders to learn at COP26 was the very straightforward impacts of climate change on global warming as it relates to Inuit culture, to the Inuit way of life, whether that's just to live on the land or to harvest from the land. In regions where there's a lot of permafrost and that's thawing, we're actually seeing coastline erosion, we're seeing the loss of land. Like actual land is just literally eroding, fading away forever into the ocean. Similarly, we also have cultural practices that are eroding as the terrain erodes, as ice begins to become unstable, unpredictable. You can't rely on the traditional knowledge that would have been passed down for generations as to when ice is typically safe to traverse upon. There's a kind of well-known phenomenon in politics where sometimes science and the political realm are disconnected, and that is something that I did see, at least on a smaller scale, say at COP26, where, for example, when I was speaking, when my colleagues, my Inuit colleagues were speaking, none of us were speaking to world leaders, people who can make substantial decisions, whereas if we were saying those same words, sharing our same stories to world leaders, then there's a much greater likelihood that we will see more substantial action to combat climate change.
We'll cap oil and gas sector emissions today and ensure they decrease tomorrow at a pace and scale needed to reach net zero by 2050.
Anything that will progress the interests of climate action, of mitigating the effects of climate change is progress. That's incontrovertible. You know, that's like progress is progress. However, again, my overarching concern is this progress enough to stave off the forever impacts of climate change? You know, like once the ice melts, it's not going to regenerate. You know, it's not going to start suddenly freezing again.
I think it was really important for Newfoundland and Labrador to be at Scotland, to be at COP26. As an oil-producing province, of course, the oil and gas product that we have right here, right now, is valuable at this time of transition, and we need to make sure that we exercise it before it becomes unvaluable.
The question of oil from Newfoundland and Labrador is a very difficult one, given how integral it has been historically to the wealth of the province. It does seem a little tone deaf. Honestly, given the intent of COP26 to lower emissions, with the proviso that there is obviously still that need for fossil fuels in the immediate present and near future, it's going to take very substantial action from the highest levels of government across the globe to actually regulate the emissions in a much more dramatic, a much more urgent way. And I'm very fearful that by the time the whole globe recognizes the urgency required for climate action, because we Inuit are living this every day. And so by the time it becomes urgent to other parts of the world, it may be too late.
Well, welcome back to Here and Now. It's that time of year, service stations busy as people do the tire switchover. Studded or non-studded, it is the debate this time of year. Joining us now, Larry Short. Usually Larry talks to us about financial matters, but he's done some research on this. Thank you, Larry.
Pleasure.
And Jim Brazel, safety instructor with Safety NL. So Jim, you're a fan of studded tires?
Oh, no.
No. All right, so what's the case for them?
The case for them is in situations where the weather causes the roads to be frozen with ice, sleet, that sort of thing, black ice. So in some parts of Newfoundland, especially coastal areas like St. John's, you're going to see a fair bit of that type of weather. So that's the case for studded tires. They are advantageous when used on ice and snowpacked.
You have them on your car?
I have them on my car. I've made that decision, Anthony.
Larry, you don't like studded tires?
Yes, there's a couple of reasons for it. The largest single reason, though, is the safety issue. We do have a problem in this province with, car insurance rates are higher than anywhere else in Canada. There's more rear-end collisions than anywhere else. I was a survivor of a rear-end collision, literally coming out of a CBC interview back in 2018 on Provincial Parkway, stopped for a yellow light, and the gentleman who hit me came out and he said, look, I hit the brakes way back there, but he slid on studded tires. And this is the whole difficulty I have with it, is that the perception people have is that studded tires means safer, particularly in winter. But it only works, as my honorable foe to the left has said, it only works during a period of time when there is ice covering. It doesn't work on wet pavement, dry pavement, or slush.
Well, I have a solution for that.
Yeah?
I have a solution for people getting rear-ended. Stay back further. That's the solution. It doesn't have to necessarily to do with the fact that you have studded tires on that people get rear-ended. If you drive in St. John's, drive in Newfoundland, and what you will see, people drive too close. They don't have a safe following distance.
Okay, but on the point, though, about the braking distance with studded tires, I think the engineering studies show that,
yes, that is the case. That is the case,
on dry
Anthony.
pavement.
On dry pavement and even on wet pavement. So here's the reality. If you know that, if you understand it, adjust your driving. We say that all the time to our students. Adjust your driving for the conditions. Understand that you are in a car with studded tires. Dry pavement means that you need to be back. You need to be back further than the 3 seconds that we normally teach our students.
Isn't it also true, though, the studs lift the cars off and make them more susceptible to hydroplaning?
There is that downside as well, the possibility that you're going to have a greater chance of hydroplaning. So my point is this. Larry looks at it from a safety perspective. I do as well. If I understand what I'm driving, how I'm driving, understand what the conditions are like, then I adjust my driving accordingly.
Technology has moved on beyond studded tires that really came out in the 1960s and 70s, and that is ice radials. And ice radials provide near studded tire control and safety without having that period of time.
No, ice radials are fantastic. Do you have several $100s extra beyond a regular snow tire?
Well, they're expensive, are they?
Oh, they're very
expensive.
They
are more expensive. So the question is, which is more expensive? Is it the potential for having your own insurance rate go up because you're on dry pavement? You have the confidence that, I don't really, and again, there was another study that was done in Washington State years ago that found when people drove studded tires, they had more confidence. So they tended to drive faster, and then that translates into driving closer.
I used to have them, had my driveway done.
Yes.
One trip up my driveway, and my wife said, we got to get rid of them. They were chewing up the driveway. Is there any doubt that studded tires are bad for our roads?
Studded tires cause damage to pavement. Studded tires also pollute. That's the reality as well. My point is a safety point. Okay,
so it's a trade-off.
Especially in certain parts of the province. There might be other parts of the province interior where studded tires don't have any value whatsoever. People shouldn't have studded tires on if they don't have to go out into extreme environments. And so when we put studs on, because it provides a certain level of safety. The research also, Larry, says quite clearly, a studded tire is an advantageous use of the equipment when it is needed for the weather conditions.
Right. Unfortunately, we can't change our tires every time we want to do that. So that's real. Listen, gentlemen, you're civilized people. You shake hands now. Oh, no, you can't shake hands.
No, we'll
Sorry,
do
there
that.
we go. Even better.
There we go.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, the great debate. What are your thoughts on the pros and cons of studded tires? You can send here and now a 30-second video comment. You know how that works. Or you can just send us an email to our address at hereandnow.nl@cbc.ca. She's experienced some of the world's most spectacular places, but town tops the list.
St. John's is definitely my favorite city in Canada, and I've been to a lot of cities in Canada.
Why this Portuguese artist has come to stay, coming up. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is meeting with his counterparts from the U.S. and Mexico in Washington today. Ahead of the summit, Trudeau had one-on-one meetings with both his counterparts, starting with Mexican President Andreas Manuel Lopez Obrador.
It's a wonderful pleasure to be here to
meet with the President of Mexico. Lots of great things to talk about, lots of things we agree and align on, and I'm very much looking forward to sitting down with him.
Lopez Obrador described the two countries as, quote, sister nations that collaborate and cooperate. Trudeau later met with U.S. President Joe Biden. He headed into that meeting concerned over Biden's plan to give Americans a rebate on electric vehicles produced only in the U.S. Ottawa believes that would wreak havoc on Canada's auto industry. This is the first time the leaders of the three countries have had a meeting since 2016.
An investigation by the Fifth Estate into We Charity has revealed a troubling pattern of fundraising for schoolhouses in Kenya that don't appear to have ever been built. The investigation shows the charity routinely misled donors across North America for years as it solicited money for schoolhouses in Kenya. The Fifth Estate's Mark Kelly has more.
This small village in rural Kenya is a world away from the bustling life in suburban Toronto. But there's something here that links both worlds. Schoolhouse number 24. We Charity told students at Iroquois Ridge High School they'd fully funded that classroom. In 2013, former student Rukshan De Silva traveled to Kenya to see what he and his classmates had accomplished.
Well, I met with the teacher, and he kind of gave me a tour of the old school, and then they showed me the new school as well that was constructed with the funds that we donated.
But the picture he took of the schoolhouse revealed something different. Over the door, the logo of another group that online records indicate also paid for the construction of that very same school. An investigation by the Fifth Estate into We Charity's operations has found the charity misled donors by raising money for schools that were already funded. Our investigation reveals donors raised enough money to build more than 900 primary schoolhouses in Kenya, but the charity's own records show only 360 have been built.
That's the wrong approach, Mark. That clearly shows that you don't understand our model.
That model, says Carol Mora, a senior We executive, ensures donors are told their money will be pooled for community projects, not specific projects like a schoolhouse.
We have always tried our best to be very clear with our donors.
But that's not what Rukshan De Silva was told.
No, we were told that that would be Iroquois Ridge's school that we had funded.
This charity watchdog group says if charities accept money for a project like building a schoolhouse, then that's where the money must be spent.
Charities still have an ethical obligation, in some cases a legal obligation, to carry out the specific programs that they promised the donor they would carry out with that donation. The logical question is, where's the money? Where did the money go?
Claims that multiple donors funded the same school are false, We Charity said in a letter to the Fifth Estate, and the charity has now hired a forensic accountant to look into donations to Kenya. Mark Kelly, CBC News, Toronto.
The Fifth Estate's investigation into We's donor deception in Kenya, called Finding School Number 4, airs tonight at 9 o'clock on CBC Television. You can also stream it on GEM. For the first time since 2016, more people have moved to Newfoundland and Labrador than have moved away.
We're often talking about the province's population problem. Well, this week we're launching a new series introducing you to some of the people who, one by one, are helping to reverse it. The series is called Come to Stay.
And tonight, our Chrissy Holmes heads to a downtown design studio to meet Nico Paulo. This singer-songwriter and designer now calls St. John's home. Nico Paulo grew up in a small town in Portugal, surrounded by family, music, and art.
Her design studies took her to Lisbon, Austria, and Toronto before landing here last year.
What brought you to St. John's initially? Well, so my partner's from here, and he knows I love the ocean and I love being close to the ocean, and like being here in the summer was like, it was like a good trial. Like I think he understood that, like how important it is for me and how happy I felt just by having that. Tim Baker is my partner. He is, like, I think, the best singer-songwriter in Newfoundland and probably in like the world. He suggested for us to stay. And I was like, yes, I really want that. He was working on his new record, and I was shifting gears from like music. I was a bit disappointed that music was like kind of closed, and I had just like released the first EP, and then like, you know, everything was kind of like postponed or canceled. And so I was a bit disappointed. So my first instinct was like, okay, I'm shifting to design. So I was getting more into like design work again. I do my own thing, and he's way more like home, likes to work all the time and like write all the time and be in his music all the time. My personality is more of leaving and having a routine that I like go outside and, you know, interact with others. It's more like community driven and people driven. Every time I would walk in front of this space, I would like think about maybe this could be like it, you know, it's small, but maybe it could. So I got in touch, and then it just like everything happened like very quickly.
When you say design, exactly what kind of design realm do you work in?
My portfolio is bigger in graphic design, but I love working with space. So set design and just doing creative direction or art direction in general is like something that I've been focusing more. Opening the studio was also like, you know, an exercise I wanted to do because I want to be here in the community. Like I'm tired of being on social media, you know, and like trying to get all over the world through social media and like in a global way, but which is great and it's a great tool, but I feel like I want to be here and I want people to know what I do, and I want to collaborate with other artists. It has had, you know, impact in other people's lives too, you know, even if they just, you know, come here and play a show or just come in and like have a conversation about like what they do. Every single person I meet here has a story about the Portuguese sailors playing soccer in the war, for going in the water to get the ball, or the procession that happened to the Basilica. And I was like, I'm gonna go to the rooms, I'm gonna spend some time at the archives and just looking at pictures of like all these stories everyone is saying. Like I wanna see what they looked like. And so yeah, there's like accordions and like, you know, musicians, people brought songs and music. I didn't grow up knowing anything about Newfoundland. I've heard Terra Nova before, and I've heard Nova Scotia, like Nova Scotia, like all of these names are familiar in the map, but I never researched Newfoundland. I actually grew up thinking the cod I ate was from Norway, which is funny. And then when I moved here, I realized that probably I was eating cod from Newfoundland my whole life. So maybe not, because it had finished already, I don't know.
Okay, salt cod, something that we eat here, but I do know that people in Portugal eat salt cod a lot differently than we do.
It is the most important element in like Portuguese gastronomy, like cod, salt cod. Like Christmas Eve, that's what we eat. It's like salt cod dish. It's almost like Jig's dinner, but with salt cod and like lots of vegetables, potatoes. So yes, I grew up eating salt cod, and I still buy salt cod here, and that's mostly what I eat. I mean, I love fresh cod too. The first time I ate it, I was like, this is cod? I was like, oh, this doesn't taste like anything. Where's the salt? There's no salt in it. But I really love fresh cod, right? Like pan-fried as well. Like I really got into it, and especially if you can just go fish it in the morning and like have it for breakfast.
What is it about St. John's that is really unique to you?
I love how like everything here is like so integrated with like weather and with the landscape or like the geography of it. And so people are like hardcore here, but also gentle and like humble. So it's like they're like rugged, but they are like fairies too, you know.
Oh, the summertime has come, and the trees are
There's almost no pollution, you know, and being here this spring and seeing the city like bloom with leaves, like all the trees, it like blew my mind. I was just like, I can't believe, like, because after the winter everything is just so like dead, right? And then like the spring comes and you're like, oh my God, this is like the most beautiful city in like North America to me. Snorkeling in Newfoundland is the best thing because you see all these like manta rays and it's just crazy. it blew my mind that people don't go swimming. And like, Tim maybe swam a couple times his whole life. And like, since I moved here, we've been going to the beach almost every week in the summer. Like, we're swimming in the ocean all the time.
You swim in the ocean? Really?
Yeah, I do. And I'm not the only one. There's others too. I'm not crazy Portuguese lady that moved here and is swimming in the ocean. There's like a ton of people that do it. Going for hikes is like also a thing that helps. And again, like, there's no bad weather, there's only bad gear. So if you really have the right thing, like, you're out there and it's fine. So I like it. I really like it here. It's no weather that will send me back.
It is so great to get to know you. Thank you so much for having us into your studio.
Thank you for having me and for like coming all the way here and yeah, being in the studio.
Not the crazy Portuguese lady.
It was great. Sounds like she's really making the most of her time here for sure. And that's the first item of a new series from Chrissy Holmes.
And you can look for more of Come to Stay in the weeks to come.
They boost or they alter the harmonic content. So you have second and third order harmonics, which are the qualities of a sound that make a violin sound different than a mandolin sound different from a tuba.
High quality equipment made here at home.
What makes this company so special? Well, that's ahead on For the Love of Music. Welcome back. Well, vacuum tubes are an old technology used to control an electric current.
Yes, it's not the first thing that comes to mind when you think about modern music making.
No, but meet a man who has embraced old tech in a way that's giving musicians a new sound.
I'm Julian Travers, and I own and operate Travers Analog. Travers Analog is a small boutique manufacturer of professional audio equipment intended for recording and mixing and mastering engineers. So right now I make a microphone preamp. It's called the 652 vacuum tube preamplifier, and it uses vacuum tubes. Vacuum tubes have a sound associated with them that people seem to love and use it in a creative manner. You look at the back of some of these products, you would never see something made in Newfoundland and Labrador, and that was something I wanted to change.
Travers Analog is a new pro audio manufacturer based out of Newfoundland, Canada, and today it's my extreme pleasure to give everyone a first listen to their flagship release, the 652 stereo tube-based mic pre.
Hey, it's Nico from M1 Distribution here at the 2020 NAMM show in Anaheim. We're here and announcing our new partnership with Travers Analog from Newfoundland, Canada.
He's just going to set levels, so he wants to join the preamp. One of the things these tube preamplifiers do, especially the high quality ones like Julian's, are they boost or they alter the harmonic content. So you have second and third order harmonics, which are the qualities of a sound that make a violin sound different than a mandolin sound different from a tuba. Even if they're all playing the same note, it's the harmonic overtones, and that's essentially what changes with these tube preamps.
I don't have any software that sounds like that piece of gear. And I don't have any other piece of hardware gear, like, other mic pre's. I got a collection of mic pre's, and nothing actually sounds like this as well. It's got its own unique thing to it, so it's pretty cool.
Nothing quite like this has been made here before. I wanted people to be able to look at this gear and say, hey, it's made in Newfoundland, and that's really a part of it. It's part of me, and I wanted to come home to be able to do this work and export it from here. And of course there's a lot of support here as well. It's really all about the music. To be able to design and produce something that can manipulate the sound or not manipulate the sound in a creative way that is ear-pleasing is very rewarding. And I can hear that. When I'm designing something, when I'm building something, I can hear that, and I want other people to hear it.
Analog, everything old is new again. Thanks to video producer Mark Cumby for that.
Yes, you can catch more From the Love of Music series on our CBCNL website, Facebook, and YouTube pages. Looking ahead to the weekend now, weather-wise, some mild temperatures on the way and some wet weather as well.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at through the day tomorrow, and then a cold front sweeps through, and that means that the temperatures are going to drop like a rock in behind that. Let's take a look at the future tracker. So there's that cold front there. So we are going to see some heavy rain overnight Friday into Saturday morning, and that's going to work its way across the island as we get into even Saturday morning. Still going to be seeing some of the shower activity, but in behind that cold front we see that wind shift, so we get back into that northerly flow. So again, the higher elevations on the west coast, parts of the west coast anyway, could see some snow as we head through the afternoon on Saturday. And the temperatures are going to stay mild though for at least the morning hours, and then once that cold front sweeps through, we'll see that change in the winds. and then the temperatures will drop. So by the time we get into Saturday afternoon, most areas, or at least some areas along the west coast, will be seeing some snow scattered across Labrador as well. And then a ridge of high pressure is going to move in for Sunday, and that should keep things quite nice through the day on Sunday for the island. And then some more snow will move in for Lab West, or at least some periods of snow, at least for the first half of Sunday, will move in for you. And other than that, not a whole lot going on this weekend. Now there's that warm temperature, the warmer temperatures I was talking about for St. John's. The rest will drop into the minus, or rather 3 to 4 degrees through the day, minus single digits up across Labrador. But again, as that cold front sweeps through, those temperatures are going to drop, and they're going to stay cool on Sunday. But with that sunshine, won't feel too bad. Those temperatures will be between 1 and 3 degrees with either mainly sunny or cloudy periods through the afternoon. And then temperatures pretty similar to what you're going to see on Saturday for Labrador. Lab City about -4 with cloudy skies. Again, some periods of snow possible in the morning, but then remaining cloudy through the afternoon. So after the weekend, temperatures are going to bump up again back into the mid-single digits through the afternoon. We may even see a little bit warmer than that, but Tuesday, looking at that rain returning for St. John's and eastern Newfoundland. We're going to see a similar forecast for central Newfoundland on Tuesday. We'll see the flurries for Monday night, and that's because those temperatures will be into the minus single digits, but as they rise on Tuesday, that'll climb back up. And some showers, same thing for western Newfoundland, with your temperature hovering around 6 degrees. And then for eastern Labrador, after a break this weekend, we will see the return of either rain or snow on Monday, and then temperatures jumping up, and another round of rain is possible for you on Tuesday. Western Labrador will see a similar likely rain-snow mix Monday night, and then changing back over to snow Tuesday night for you. So I had to share this photo. Sunset glow in English Harbor. Gina Penny shared that lovely shot with us. And if you have any weather photos that you would like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Great day.
Looks warm almost.
The glow, that always makes me feel warm.
Yeah.
Now we got some feedback already to our studded tires story. Elaine Oates wrote to us saying, "I wouldn't drive without them. Like the safety instructor said, drive according to the weather conditions."
And we got another one too. Brian Carroll wrote to us saying, "Studs are noisy, cause damage, and the increased friction causes greater gas consumption." So some very good points there.
Yeah, thanks for writing in so quickly.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Good night.
Good night.